Hello. How are y'all doing today? I swear one of these days I'm accidentally gonna hit stop streaming instead of the transition button, because every single time I'm about to like come off of that intro screen, I instinctively reach for the stop streaming button. How are y'all doing today though? I can't remember the last time I've actually streamed this frequently. 3 days in a row? I feel like the last time I actually did that was all the way back when I was still in Germany. Kind of crazy to think about. Why so sad? I don't know. Okay, the thing with this model, every time I like open my mouth, it instinctively puts it in the most upset face possible. Like if I just open my mouth, like Bro has reverse burnout. I've been running on fumes for years now. It's just standard procedure at this point. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this model. Even if I try smiling as much as possible with my mouth open. It's really hard. It's really hard. The sensitivity on this model is a little bit messed up. In fact, actually, is this even the right model? Oh yeah, this is the right model. I'm not sure. The fuck is that? Yeah. I got a stash now. My mouth has turned to a stash. Yeah. You have to rotate the mouth 180 to look happy. Okay, like smiling looks normal, right? I guess either looks normal. It's just, I don't know what's up with the mouth open. I don't know what the mouth is open is all about. Dad stash or it's a dad stash. It's a dad stash. We're getting to that age now. Anyways, today, kind of like the same procedure as on Wednesday, we are going to be making another microservice for my personal version of Project Vita. And this one is going to be making use of Llama CPP, which is, in all things considered, basically the same thing as Whisper CPP. So really, we shouldn't have much work to do today in terms of actually getting a microservice up and running, assuming we don't run into the same problems as last time. But if we do run into the same problems as last time, it shouldn't be too hard to fix. The only other thing that I want to do is, because I expect this stream, or hope that this stream doesn't take too long, we're also going to be making some filters for the actual server itself, as well as for Mellow as well. Because when we were exploring the Mellow TTS stream, we found that some of the pronunciation wasn't that good, but we could get around it by substituting the actual input text. Some of the words in there, we can substitute it with like, I don't know, the abbreviations, but with periods in between to kind of pronounce it out a little bit better or something else, right? Just replacing it with a word that Mellow TTS can actually pronounce properly. And the same thing will kind of be applied for Llama CPP as well, but it's more of a moderation filter where it will perform moderation or filtering on the server side before we actually get back the results and stuff. So just a little bit extra stuff to do really, but shouldn't be all too complicated. It's mostly copy paste. What method did you implement for your AI model to use web search? You first just use a normal tool call to get to your search query, and then you just use that to search the internet as normal, like say Brave or Google, some sort of search engine. You get the list of URLs that are returned from that search engine, and then you start going through each of the pages, downloading the actual web page and extracting the contents with something like Beautiful Soup or whatever. And then you can take all of that content, feed it through another LLM to either summarize it or just take out the actual points to answer your question and return that result. Ricewell talked about modifying the CMU dictionary for Mello. We did try that, but for some of the words, it just didn't play out too well, right? Like for J.E. Eisen, for example, it was much simpler to modify the word J.E. Eisen going into Mello TTS than it was to actually go into CMU dictionary to actually modify the pronunciation and the syllables, right? Because sometimes it just kind of messed up and it still amalgamated every single thing. Whereas beforehand, if we just take J.E. Eisen and we format it to be J.A.Idasen, or have some sort of way of putting pauses in between each of those letters, then we saw a much better result. And I feel like that's much easier for me, at least, to maintain as opposed to going to the CMU dictionary to try and modify stuff there. I don't know. Either or is a valid method, but I feel like if I were to implement Mello TTS for open source, like I have inside of Project J.E. Eisen, then I would prefer that word replacement approach, because modifying the CMU dictionary is not very trivial unless if you already know what the technique is for actually extracting the right syllables or phonemes. And even then, it's kind of tricky to get right. So, without further ado, let's pull up what we have right now. I did a little bit of research off stream as well again. So, just switch over. I did a little bit of research off stream just to make sure that there's not some crazy dependency with Llama CPP that I'm missing. But it seems to be all right for the most part. It's pretty much the same as Whisper CPP. Let me just pull up the project actually. I did go ahead and download all the contents already. So we have this version here, which is for Windows, CUDA 12.4. And you'll see we have all of the Llama CPP tools, to which we don't actually need a lot of these. We just need Llama's server here. But there are a lot of useful utilities in case you want to, say, for example, quantize something. I know it's here somewhere. Yeah, Llama quantize. This is what you would sometimes use, especially for like unsloth models. You would take those models and quantize it using Llama CPP. But it's pretty much the same thing as Whisper CPP as well, right? Just a bunch of binary files, binary programs that we can just run on the side. And I also went ahead and downloaded some models. We have Quen here and Llama 3.2 Instruct. These are just like for testing purposes, right? I'm not going to use Quen because I know this is a thinking model and I don't really want to have to deal with the whole thinking, parsing and everything. But for Llama should be fine because I'm pretty sure, well, I have the formatting right here. The chat template, it looks something like this, which is pretty easy to parse. It's pretty much exactly like most, what do we call it? It's like most Instruct prompt templates slash chat templates. I believe this is a chat template for the most part, right? It kind of looks like it, yeah. Let me install Gentoo on stream. He's making his own Persian fashion. Bro, what are you even saying? Gemma is like all the bad parts of Gemini distilled into a tiny model. Well, I haven't really tested that many local models, so I wouldn't really know. I don't know. I'm not really somebody who goes around and enjoys testing different models and all that stuff. I just want to pick one, and if it's good enough for my purposes, then I'm just gonna settle with it for the time being, right? I'm like the complete opposite. When it comes to code versus models, I'm like the complete opposites. When it comes to code, I'm trying to like perfect that shit. I'm kind of a perfectionist. But then when it comes to models, I'm just like, fuck it, it's good enough, right? But now I kind of like need to switch that mentality because now I need to actually spend time figuring out what models I actually like using and not spend all my time refactoring shit, which we are still refactoring, whoop-de-doo. Look at me. But yeah, that's just kind of something else. Prangle Dev, by the way, thank you for the follow. What else? What else? Yeah, so on Llama CPP, if you just scroll down, you'll find something about their Llama server. And in here, just like Whisper CPP, has their entire API from runtime arguments to the actual endpoints. They even have a little bit of a web UI, but we don't really need to consider ourselves with this. And yeah, pretty much all we really need is the REST API and the actual arguments, but because it's a lot larger than Whisper CPP, but that shouldn't really be much of a problem because I already have a good idea for what parameters I want to be using here. Is there anything else in here that I want to? Because I haven't fully read through this entire thing. I just started taking a look at it like half an hour before stream. They do also have OpenAI compatible endpoints, but that's not really something we need to concern ourselves with either. We could technically use the OpenAI library, in fact, to interface with this server. But I think I'm just going to stick with their bespoke endpoints just because it seems easier to use and is better documented, right? And the reason why I'm using Llama CPP over something like Cobalt CPP or LM Studio, which uses Llama CPP under the hood, is because I just want better control over the Llama server myself and to make use of a lot of these different parameters or samplers, I guess I should say, which you can probably still use inside of something like Cobalt. And in fact, I'm pretty sure Cobalt might even have better caching than just using Llama CPP on its own, because I'm pretty sure they implement their own layer of caching on top of it. But I think keeping things leaner is just a better approach to things. At least that's how I'm thinking of my dependencies now. So yeah. Anything else? No, this is just where I downloaded the Llama model. I technically use LM Studio to download it and just copied it over, but this is the actual repository on Hugging Face. You can use any kind of GGUF model, that should be fine. And you can, like I said earlier, use Llama CPP to make your own GGUF models. Well, Llama CPP, from what I know, is the best performance for running AI models. I would... you could make an argument for that, yeah, if you are considering the layer of abstractions on top of that, because I doubt Cobalt or LM Studio are inherently faster than Llama CPP, because at the end of the day, they are using Llama CPP under the hood. I don't know what extra modifications they're using though before they compile, but I don't know how it really compares to Ollama. Like Llama, when you actually do spend the time to configure everything correctly. But I don't think it makes much of a difference, to be honest. I still think at the end of the day, you are mostly going to see the most gains by just upgrading hardware. Visual large language models in some use cases could run faster, but installing and managing VLLM is kind of hellish. Yeah, like I was looking at the binaries that were included for Llama CPP here, and I just noticed there was like so many different, wait, where is it? There were so many different binaries just for running different kinds of models, which is kind of weird because I would assume that these are all for different kinds of vision LLMs as opposed to just normal LLMs, because I feel like for the most part, not that at all. No. No, I'm just talking in general, because I would assume the standard for vision LLMs isn't as standardized as just normal text-to-text LLMs, because normal text-to-text LLMs, that's like, it's always going to be text in, text out. There's no extra parameters that really need to be adjusted, and the architecture is for the most part the same, right? VLLM is an enterprise LLM runtime. Ah, okay. Okay, I'm mistaken then. Anyways, let's get started then. Let me just start the timer. Control start, here we go. So this, for the most part, should be pretty similar to our Whisper CPP server, right? So I'm just gonna copy paste this really quick and rename you to Llama server. Right, Llama server. And we'll make some modifications to all of our shared libraries. So Llama server here, Llama server here, and we'll go configure our config with config. Yes, config. Gonna add some enumerations here. So we got llama, llama. The rest of that should be fine. So we now have the ability to use this profile from our configuration. That's all good. And we can reuse the same logic for actually running the Llama server as we did with running the Whisper server, right? Because at the end of the day, all we're really doing is just running this binary in its own shell, or not even its own shell, as just a sub-process to this entire process. So I'm gonna rename Whisper server to Llama server. We don't need this working file path because we're not storing audio files or uploading audio files. We can get the port from our configuration. And the model file path, that is fine. Now the actual file path for the executable should be under llama CPP / llama server. We'll figure out the runtime arguments we need to give it. So to do, but then this entire line can stay exactly the same. I tried LM Studio and Ollama and decided to stick with Ollama. Yeah, I've never actually used Ollama myself, but I'm pretty sure they don't use Llama CPP under the hood. They sometimes do copy some of the implementations from Llama CPP, but for the most part, they're entirely independent. I could be entirely wrong on that though, so don't quote me on that. Now, the specification that I actually want for this microservice is to not have to worry about managing its own prompt template, its own history, its own anything. I want this to be a very lean service where all it really is just an API for interacting with Llama CPP, the actual server, right? This is all this is really going to be. So I'm not going to have like a prompter class or anything that's managing the history, the conversation history. And I'm not going to have something that goes ahead and actually saves the raw results for that or anything. This is just simply going to be text completion and response post-processing. Why are you using dot format in Python? Isn't it even slower than F strings? I don't really know what the difference is. I thought F strings were just a shorthand for dot format. I don't know. It doesn't really matter though. You're saving like maybe fractions of a millisecond. Ollama is a straight up Llama CPP wrapper. They do write custom implementations for new model types, which cause a discrepancy in GGUFs posted online because upstream Llama CPP writes a cleaner implementation, but they take longer to release it. Okay. Okay, I didn't know Llama was a wrapper for Llama CPP. But maybe it is a little bit different for some of the new model types. I have no clue. I'm not really an expert on these different kind of runtime engines. Yeah. We have Llama server here. Our call is simply going to be the prompt. And what this prompt is going to be, it's not going to be like Project JEISON where there's an instruction prompt. There is a message history, and then it takes that and turns that into a template, right? Template apply, blah, 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 right? It's not going to be like this. Instead, the template is going to be applied outside of the server, and it's going to be passed into the server just straight up as the prompt. And this effectively allows us to make use of any sort of chat template, manage it in any sort of way without having to make different endpoints for saying stuff like update this history or something like that. Because the one thing that I want to achieve, or one thing I want out of this Llama server, is to be able to do something like LoRa swapping. And if you don't really know what LoRas are or LoRa adapters are, they're basically like smaller modifications to LLMs that you can kind of just apply or switch between in order to effectively get different fine tunes, right? So maybe we'll have one fine tune specifically for the personality, but maybe we don't have enough VRAM to load up two models at the same time. Loading up a second model, hot swapping the entire model might take way longer because you do have to load up much more VRAM or allocate much more VRAM, right? Versus having to hot swap the actual LoRa adapters. LoRa adapters are a fraction of the size of the actual model themselves, so they're much faster to hot swap around. And you can effectively have one for personality, but another one for structured outputs in case you want to do something like tool calling, for example, or MCP requests and stuff like that. And that's kind of something that I do want out of this Llama server. And so I want to be able to configure which LoRa adapter is loaded and not be constrained by a particular prompter that is only meant for this specific task or this specific chat template and whatnot, right? So this prompt, we're just going to keep it general, and the eventual application we make once we finish making all these microservices, the actual application that brings all of these microservices together, that itself is going to be managing its own history or managing which LoRa adapters are loaded and when. So this prompt is just a single body of text, and that's what we're going to be passing to the LLM. But we might need some extra parameters here as well for stuff like the extra samplers or other parameters for generation. So if we come over to Llama server here, not Llama server there, let's first figure out what arguments we want to load up our Llama server with. We do want the port. We also want the model path. So let's just find those first. Port, port-port, that's fine. And model. You have dash model encoder. Maybe it's -m. -m, -mg, -m. Okay, dash model. This is the file path, and we can keep it absolute. That is okay. So dash model here is fine. What about all the other parameters like dash dash lower here or the default samplers? I think the default samplers, we can just keep it as defaults within our request body here. Okay, let's just take it from the top. We have just the common ones. So completion bash, print sourceable bash completion, verbose prompt, threads. We don't really care about multi-threading this. CPU mass, CPU range, priority, that doesn't really matter to us. Predict n number of tokens to predict. Number of tokens to predict. So this could allow us to limit the number or the length of generation for us. I think we'll just keep that as an argument for each of these calls, right? Predict. We'll keep a list of these just so we can make use of them later. So create a body of text. For you, this will be predict or limit generated tokens length. Right, batch size, we're not batching anything. What is keep? Number of tokens to keep from the initial prompt. We'll leave this as 0 for now. SWA full. SWA, what is SWA? I don't know what SWA is, but we do want to use KV caching because this will allow us to really speed up generation between subsequent or similar prompts, right? KV caching is basically making sure that we aren't doing all the work to process an entire block of text every single time. If it looks similar to something we've previously seen, then it's not going to do all the work. It's only going to do the work for whatever is different. So use single unified KV buffer for the KV cache in all sequences. Unified. I don't know what the benefits of having a unified KV buffer is though. Multi-sequence decoding performance by avoiding the cross-sequence attention compute. This is for high throughput mode. One significant drawback of a unified KV cache, it just leads to, One significant drawback of a unified KV cache is that it leads to performing a lot of unnecessary computation in the attention when the unified buffer is shared between many large independent sequences. Unnecessary computation in the attention when the unified buffer is shared. The unified buffer is shared between many large independent sequences. The reason is that we have to view this buffer continuously. Therefore, we end up computing large portions of cross-sequence attention, which we then simply discard. I don't think it really makes much of a difference if we're only running single-threaded. I think this might be trying to say different KV caches per... I'm not really sure what they mean by sequences here. I'm not sure. I'm just not going to touch this now. When I learn a little bit more, read a little bit more into this, I'll figure it out. Flash attention, we don't really need to worry about this. We'll worry about performance later on. The only thing I want to do is just make sure KV cache is enabled because that is a very easy performance boost. Escape characters, do I want to include escape characters? Let's say no. No, I do not want to include escape characters. Why don't I want to include escape characters? It just helps with consistency with our prompting and training examples. Rope, I don't know what the fuck rope is. Yarn, I also don't know what yarn is. Disable KV offload. No, we want to actually keep that. Disable weight repacking. KV cache data type by default is F16. That is okay. Cache type. Again, that's okay. I'm pretty sure KV cache is just enabled by default, so we're not gonna touch it. Memory mapping, though. I don't really know what I'm doing with memory mapping, so I'm just gonna leave that as well. Dev device semicolon separated list of devices to use for offloading. Again, this is my own personal system. I do not have multiple GPUs, and I'm pretty much only going to be using my one GPU, so I don't need to care about this either. Print the list of available devices and exit. We already know we just have to default CUDA. Override tensor, CPU, mixture of experts. NGL, SM, tensor, MG, check tensors. LoRa, okay, we'll just keep this. LoRa. You have LoRa for set specific LoRa. The one thing I don't know about this is if I modify the actual LoRa, if it's the same LoRa that's already there, will it unload it and reload it on? And that kind of goes for the same thing as LoRa scaled. Because, okay, how some of these LoRa adapters work, LoRa's they don't affect the base model at all. They're just modifications to the weights that sit on top of the actual model. And you can actually scale the effects of these different LoRa adapters. So maybe you have one that's for one for jokes, a personality LoRa adapter for jokes, and another LoRa adapter for being very serious. You can kind of adjust the weights of them by scaling the magnitude of each of these weights. So you might have it be 80% serious but 20% jokey, right? And then you mix the two, you get a more serious response than a jokey response, but it's still kind of jokey. Versus you tip the balances and now you have, say, 80% of the influence will come from the joking LoRa versus 20% from the serious LoRa. Now you have something that's more jokey, but a little bit of seriousness mixed in as well, right? So I'm not sure how this really is implemented under the hood. I'm not sure if by specifying the LoRa's or adjusting the LoRa scales here, if it unloads the actual LoRa and then loads it back in, because I don't want to have to unnecessarily unload and reload a LoRa every single time I want to do a completion, because that's just wasting computation time. Path LoRa can be repeated to use multiple adapters. Path to LoRa adapter with user-defined scaling. I'm just going to pull this one for now. LoRa scale, set specific LoRa and its contribution factor, I'm going to call it. Okay, control vector. What the fuck is a control vector? I don't know. I'm not going to touch it. Model URL. We're not downloading any models, so that's fine. Hugging Face repository. We don't care about all the Hugging Face stuff. Debugging for logs to file. I'm just going to make a note of these. I'm probably going to disable it for the most part. But this might be useful because if you remember from the last stream or last stream with Whisper CPP, I could not get any useful logs out of Whisper CPP, no matter how hard I tried for some reason. But the fact that they have this parameter here, log file, I don't really have to do any of the fancy schmancy process output piping from up here. So we don't care about log colors. There's also verboseness. Yo limit, hello Fire Eagle. What is this offline? Force use cache, prevents network access. I don't really know what this is used for. How's it going? It's going pretty good. I feel like this stream should be a lot easier than Wednesday's stream at least. Fingers crossed. You know how it always goes. Okay, this is the main part that I actually wanted to get to though. Samplers. One of the main gripes I have with OpenAI is their limitation on the number of samplers they choose, right? The number of the samplers that they do have, I believe, are top P. I don't know if they have top K, I don't remember. They have presence penalty and frequency penalty. Now, these are all right, but there are a lot of problems that I've encountered in the past that these samplers just weren't enough to kind of direct the model away from, right? Something like dry or don't repeat yourself could be very useful from stopping JEISON from spamming the same more like jokes all over and over and over again, right? Or something like, I believe there's another sampler. No, it is not specified here. Repeat penalty is one. XTC. I don't remember how to use XTC exactly. But the point is that there's just way more samplers that we can make use of that will help us with making sure that our responses are more dynamic and more lively. So I guess for now, we can just take samplers is for, samplers that will be used for generation in order separated by that. This is just for debugging, right? So I want to take temp. So for samplers, I want to take temp. I want to take top K. I want to take top P. I want to take min P. I also want to take N sigma sampling. I'm not sure what XTC is again. I forget. Presence penalty, frequency. Don't repeat yourself. I'll just include these three. There's no harm in that. And dry multiplier, dry base, all of these different dry things. Limits actually reading? I know, right? The one time I can actually read is when I need to make use of it. Dry allow length, what is this? Set allowed length for dry sampling, 2. I don't really know what adjusting these would change. I'm just going to include it just because they're all part of dry. Add sequence breaker for dry sampling, clearing out by default breakers. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of... I'm going to get rid of these three because I don't know how to make use of them and I don't want to really clutter my API with them. Logic bias modifies likelihood token appearing in the completion. I don't really know how to modify this, so I'm just going to leave that be. JSON schema constraint generations. Example, this for any JSON object. I don't really know how this is made for. Wait. JSON schema to constrain generations. Oh, you know, this might be trying to help with structured outputs to make sure that whatever token is chosen will make sure that the output is a valid JSON. Maybe that's a point that could be pretty useful. I'm not going to play with this stream. I might just look at it off stream, but this might be useful. Look to do check out for structured outputs. This is a link to the dry sampler. Let me take a look. That's a long. I'll read this in my off stream. But for now, I think this should be good enough. All right, example specific parameters. I don't know, checkpoints, context shift. We don't have to worry about context shift because I'll be managing the history myself. Reverse prompt, halt generation at prompt, return control in interactive mode. We don't need to worry about that. Special tokens. Special tokens output enabled. Default false. Okay, some models have specialized tokens, right? Like if you looked at this, we have special tokens. It would be asking whether or not we want to print these out as well. And specifically, something like the end of EOT ID, or is it EOT ID? Yeah, EOT ID. This is the stop sequence. If we say we want to output special tokens, it would also output this EOT ID, and then in the actual response, we would need to trim this off. Or maybe if there's thinking tags, it would include the thinking tags as well. But we don't really want that, so we're just gonna keep it off for now. No, you want context shift on because you are managing the history yourself. Wait, but I thought context shifting was for like trimming the tokens of the input prompt. Or is this for managing the actual cache? Enables context shift on infinite text generation. No, not at all. Okay, I am stupid. I guess I don't know what context shifting is. Enables context shift on infinite generation. Yes, okay, so we do want this. Context shift is dynamic KV caching. So it does adjust what's in the KV cache, but not in the way that I think it does. I'll probably read more about it off stream. Continuous batching, we don't really want this. I'm not gonna bother trying to disable it either, that's fine for now. No web UI, yeah, let's just say no web UI, why not? Embedding, we can also use Llama CPP in order to run embedding models as well. So that way we can do stuff like semantic search and whatnot. I'm not gonna worry about this for today, but it's nice to know that that's there. Re-ranking, we don't really care about re-ranking. Chat template, we're doing chat templating ourselves, so we don't need to worry about that. Timeout. I think it's a good idea for us to at least have a timeout specified. So something like 10 seconds should be more than enough. Even 5 seconds should be more than enough because I don't expect to be getting super long answers or anything. Cache reuse. Min chunk size, so attempt reusing from the cache KV shifting. I don't know how to make use of this, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Read it later. Enable Prometheus, we don't have Prometheus. Prompts. Enable changing global properties via post/prompts. By default, disabled. I actually do want this. Because I want to be able to swap out LoRa adapters or rescale LoRa adapters. Slots, Jinja templating, reasoning format, we don't really care. Reasoning budget, chat template, no prefill assistant, SPS, LoRa init without apply. This basically makes it so by default, the contribution of a LoRa that's initialized is 0. We don't really care about it if we're just using LoRa scale all the time. TBD, draft mix, draft min. For speculative decoding. Speculative decoding. By default, it's 16 and 0. We're just gonna leave it be. Device draft, model draft, spec place. This is for audio generation. We're not using this at all for audio generation. Okay, that's all the parameters there. Sick. So, So this is everything that we need, right? Let us first set out the ones that are obvious for us. So these ones are going to be something we adjust on the fly. I'm not sure if we can adjust them when we're making use of the completions endpoint as well. Let's just see. We can specify temperature, top K, top P, min P, all of this kind of stuff. We have presence penalty, frequency penalty, and dry information here. So that's all good. Can we adjust the LoRa on this one as well? Or do we have to set the LoRa's before then? Logic bias, end probs, min keep, return tokens, post, response fields. Okay, so we need to adjust the LoRa's before then if we want to make use of that, but that's fine. I'm just gonna have a separate function for adjusting LoRa's. So all of these can be added to here. And I'm gonna adjust these so they're underscores. Now, is the dry base a integer or a float? Top K. Oh, whoops, top K is meant to be an int. P, that's float. Oh, we also need to adjust the stopping sequence as well. This makes it so our thing actually knows when to stop generation once it hits a certain keyword. A JSON array of stopping strings. I know what speculative decoding is, I just don't know I just don't know what good values are for it. So I'm just not going to touch it, I'm just going to leave the defaults because I'm going to assume that those are generally good. I never use them myself, to be honest. It can be useful for speeding up generation. So in general, you would want to make use of it, but most of the times you don't really need to think about it, I would say. But it's mostly for speeding up long form generation. It's just speed ups in general. It would speed up the generation of even short form stuff, but it's just, you won't notice the differences as much. For an AI VTuber, there's like no gains. Yeah, exactly. There's like no gains for when you're just outputting maybe a paragraph at most, right? But if you're trying to use the model for something like summarizing a web page or something like that to use as context for your AI VTuber, then there could be benefit in doing that because you want to start generating the actual response as soon as possible and spend less time thinking, right? So you getting the speed up gains there, especially for much longer summaries, could be very useful. Dry, typical P, presence penalty, the dry multiplier. Okay, these are both floats, that's okay. Yeah, that should be fine. So we don't have to worry about this anymore. I'm just gonna keep a note of this for myself later. Prediction. We'll add this into here as well. Is this a parameter we can pass in during generation as well? Top K, top P, prompt, temperature, dynamic, and keep. It doesn't seem like it. ID slot, samplers, timings per token, Post-sampling probs, response fields. Oh, you can adjust the LoRa's here. Okay, sick. This is going to be a list as well, a list of dictionaries specifying which LoRa ID you want to adjust and the actual scale of it. Yeah, okay, that should be fine. I'll figure out how I want to play around with that later, like passing what ID is associated with what LoRa. But for now, I'll just keep that parameter there. But there's nothing for actually specifying the length of prediction or limiting the length of prediction. At least not to what I can see here. Predict. Temperature. Is it end predict? Set the maximum. Oh, yes, it is end predict. May exceed the set limit slightly if the last token is a partial multi-byte character. Okay, that's fine. Specify the minimum line indentation for the generated text. No, we don't really care about that. That's kind of useless for us. Useful for code completion tasks? Well, we're not using this for code completion. Not yet, at least. So we'll have end predict under, sure, we'll put you here. End predict, this will be int. We can get rid of you. LoRa scaled, LoRa disabled, or log disabled, log file. We'll just have these flags hard-coded for the time being. We might make this configurable later on, but for now, we don't need to worry about that. To specify logging location of this server process. Okay, we can get rid of you, same with verbose. Verbose, 4 more logs. You added grammar in there, right? Wait. Grammar. No, I didn't. I don't think we need grammar. Do we need grammar? Because I'm not using chat template. I'm just using text completion. Just bare bones text completion. Do I still want grammar? Do I really? What was grammar here? BNF like grammar to constrain generations. You can do things like forcing the model to pick from a specific set of strings to generate. So you can ask a question and force yes or no. Yeah, but making a whole BNF grammar. I don't know. I don't have anything for this right now. Formal language. Yeah, formal language grammars to constrain model outputs. For example, you can use it to force the model to generate valid JSON. Yes, this is good for structured outputs. But they also have the JSON field for that. I don't know, this is useful for that, but I don't think I really need it for what this use case is right now, is just for personality prompting. Supported various ways. What the fuck is with my cable? BNF is a notation, yeah, okay. Basic. We define production rules to specify how a non-terminal rule name can be replaced with sequences of terminals, characters encoded. So, what is this? Example, going deeper. Let's look at some of the features demonstrated in chess GBNF, a small chess notation grammar. Root specifies the pattern for the overall output. Root. It must start with the characters 1 followed by a sequence of characters that are to be moved. Characters, ranges. I don't know. For now, I'm not going to concern myself with this because this is more for structured outputs, right? I'm just going to make some notes on top, the init. For structured outputs, check out grammars and the JSON fields. That'll be something else I check later on because I don't want to work with structured outputs for the time being. We do want context shifting. We don't want the web UI. You can just ask ChatGPT to generate them, not gonna lie. It'll probably be something I consider more for something like chess moves or making a chess bot, having JISM play chess, because those are, I don't know, I feel like they're more prone to failing the structured output. So no web UI is fine. Timeout. Can we actually add timeouts here? At generation time? Timeout. Timeout. T max predict milliseconds. Set a time limit in milliseconds for the prediction phase. The timeout will trigger if the generation takes more than the specified time. Yeah, I'll add that. Why not? And by default, the timeouts. That's fine. Okay, what else do we have? We have props. Props will be specifically for enabling modification of props during runtime. So we'll also add that here. So we got the port, we got the model, that's okay. All of these will be added during this request, and then we'll have a separate one for configuring LoRa scales as well as the actual props. What props would we even need to be modifying? I guess for now, we don't really care about modifying other props except for LoRa scaled. Okay, then we can have a configuration endpoint. Sure. Def, or is it def? Yes, def. Configure self and LoRa, what do they call it? LoRa scaled. And then we'll implement this later. Okay, we have everything in place now. Let's make this API request then. we aren't working with a temporary file, so we don't need to worry about this. We're just making a post request to this endpoint completion. We might want to do health checking inside of the starting, but I'll worry about that in a moment. So we have /completion, and this is going to take for the options. This is a post, and I'm assuming this is all in the body, right? It's not dumb like Whisper CPP and passing it through a form or anything. Response formats. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is in the body. So the content type is application/JSON. And the data, it's gonna be all of this. These are all underscores, right? Not dashes. Okay, so we don't really have to modify anything here. Laura. Laura. Did you get the llama out of your CPP? No. We are shoving the llama even deeper in my CPP. Default true, that's fine. Okay. I think this is honestly fine. I'm just not totally sold on putting Laura here, but I can just not use it. That's fine. And I'm just gonna replace this with llama CPP, returned with code, blah, blah, blah. And then the content from the actual response will be, oh, just straight up content. Nice. JSON, content, strip on both ends. Okay, we don't care about props. We don't care about the raw tokens themselves. So I think this should be good to get started. At least giving this a try. Is there anything else that I need to change here? No. Okay, so let's make it use of this Llama server now. We're gonna initialize this, and it's going to start T2T, T2T. Starting this will start the process. Do we perform a health check? Nah, we can just skip the health check for now. We set up this server as per normal. Our generation request will take in everything we see here. So rip all of this out. We're gonna pass it some defaults. So by default, this is going to be 0. This is going to be an empty list. For Laura's, this is going to be an empty dictionary. And predict. If I set this to 0, is it disabled? And predict. And predict. -1 for infinity. Okay. Dry base. I just want to set it to the defaults that are here. Frequency penalty. This is 0. This is 0. Min P. Where are you? Min P. 0.05. probably 0.95, and top K is 40. Okay, sick. Temperature, I'm actually going to set this to 0 by default. And prompt, we require prompt. Am I going to perform data validation right now? For now, no. I'm not going to perform data validation. I don't even think... Actually, no, I do perform data validation in my other ones. In Mellow, at the very least, I do, right? Yeah, I do perform some data validation. But for now, I don't really care for that. P2T, call that. We are going to get generation request dot all of these. There we go. Okay, so we're calling our T2T. Did I even adjust this in Whisper? I don't think I even adjusted this global variable in Whisper, but it didn't really matter. Whatever, might as well do it, just in case. So T2T, generating all of that. We want to start and stop our T2T here. We do this in Whisper as well, right? Yes, we do. Okay. Last but not least, this needs to be Llama server app. Adjust the naming here. And now let's set up our configuration file. So this shouldn't be too different from Whisper over here. We just need to make sure that the ports are different. So the host is fine. The port is, let's say 9003. The Llama CPP port will be 9102. And the model will be under model / llama / and we're going to be using, where are you? Model, llama, whatever this name is. Copy relative path. There we go. Okay, is there anything else we need to adjust? I don't think so. Llama ports, Llama model file, or just model file is fine. We're not modifying anything. We're not including any LoRa's at the moment. Okay. Oh shoot, I also need to modify these really quick. There we go. Now everything should be good. Okay. Let's give this a try. Conda activate. Personal Vita. And we're gonna run Llama server. So python /source /llama server, and the config is config /dev.yaml. Run u, and we get an assertion error. What happened here? Assert field in config group value, llama port. Llama port. Did I not adjust that in here? I swear I did. Oh, Llama CPP port. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna say Llama CPP port just for consistency. Plugins? No plugins. There we go. Application startup complete. If we come over to this server now. Okay. Wait, can you guys still hear me? Okay, yeah, Windows just did a weird thing. Okay. As per usual, this page is going to be empty, but if we come over to /docs, we get our Fast API terminal. And we should be able to try this out. Now, I'm going to use the default parameters, but we're going to just make our own prompt as though we are chat templating here. So if I come over to, where is, yes, you, let me actually move you onto the same browser. Where is an example we can use? Yes, okay. Let's actually pull up Notepad, or some sort of extra temporary file. Test.txt, copy you over, and let's modify this prompt. So first of all, we start with the system prompt. I'm not actually gonna put anything in here. Let's just say, you are a helpful assistant. Answer the user's question. Okay, now the user is going to say, how do I make an AI VTuber? Let's just ask that. We're going to hit the end token for this block. And now we're going to start the assistant. Now, we're going to pass this entire test text as our input, but we also need to specify the stop sequence as this. So 1 and 2. This should be everything. Pass you in. That looks good. Temperature, everything, all of that is fine. Okay. Let's run and see what we get. Oh. Wait, what? Input should be a valid list. Location, body, Laura. Oh, my bad, my bad. It's meant to be a list, not a dictionary. Hold on. Here we go. Try you again, execute. Input should be a valid list. Body, Laura. Let's comment out Laura for now. What? Oh. Whoops. It's meaning over here. Over here. This is going to be a list. Oh my god, stop. Execute. We got back an internal server error, which says max retries exceeded with URL/completion. That means we're not actually accessing or reaching the server. Now the port is on self port, and self port is gotten from Llama CPP port. We are accessing the same thing over here on the same port/completion. So maybe I need to actually do a health check. Fail to establish new connection. Okay. Let's quickly make a new function here just to perform a health check. Health check. Now the health check API looks like, shouldn't be too complicated. It's just a get/health. If we get something, we'll say status okay. So for debugging purposes, we're just going to return a very simple request get /health. All right. Now I need an actual endpoint for this. So /health. This will be asynchronous define, check health with no parameters as input, and this will return. I guess we'll have this be a, actually no. We're not going to observe the logs, we don't really care. Global t2t dot health check, and we'll return you. This should be all we need. Refresh the page. We have health check. Let's try it out. Execute. And we got an internal server error. Now, the internal server error says no connection could be made because the machine actively refused it, which means our process never even started properly. Why is this the case? Does it need to have a model loaded? No, we're already loading the model. That's fine, right? Bin llama-cpp llama-server.exe with port, with model, no escape, context shift, no web UI, props, and log disabled. Let's restart and see if it says anything before we actually execute anything. We'll watch the changes. No, it doesn't say anything. Okay, well, thankfully we do have these logs. So let's get rid of disable log. Do disable logs. We'll output you to a file called u/ logs/ or no. We'll use absolute file path just to be sure. Copy path. It's exact one / llama cpp .log. Cool. I'll also add verbose. Or actually, no, we won't add verbose for now. We'll add it if we don't find any useful information. Run this. We get llama cpp log. What happened here? Exiting due to model loading error. What happened while loading this model? Wait. What? We're not loading the correct model. We're loading a Whisper server model as opposed to the Llama server model. Say what? Oh, because I forgot to replace that here. Okay, here we go. You start the process. And now, if we restart this, perform a health check, try it out, execute, internal server error. Well, shit, what happened? Property object is not iterable. At my limit is a great place to wind down after high school. Glad to hear it. Why is this not working? Type error property. Where's property coming from? Self port. T2T health check. application post, application get. But I don't get why that didn't work. Because it shouldn't be a problem. Try it out. Execute. Internal server error. JSON decoder. Oh, it's probably because of the request object we're getting back. We need to parse it down to .json. Right? And if we're doing that, we might as well actually do this properly. So results is equal to u, and we'll have u down here to parse out whether or not the results were successful or not. So response is equal to the get request. If it is successful, then it will return the actual health check. So status, okay. Otherwise, Llama CPP returned with code, that error, and then that's all okay. Is that fine? What information do we actually get back from a health check? It's either 200 okay or 503 and then some error. Yeah, okay, that's fine, honestly. Let's restart the server just to be safe. And now the health check should work fine. Status, okay. So that means our server is working. We can connect to it properly as well. Let's come back over. Let me actually redo this description. So generate with the loaded T2T model. Or it's not even, okay. Check if Llama CPP server is working. And this is a T2T model, not a Whisper model. T2T generate. Okay. Now we can actually give this a try. Take our sample input, try it out. Replace the stop array with a, what is it? U. End of token ID. And hit execute. Internal server error. Llama CPP returned with code 500 internal server error. What happened this time? We didn't see any problems on this part. On our Llama server logs, we just got a generic error. Doesn't really say anything. As for Llama CPP, what happened here? Got exception, JSON exception parse error, syntax error while parsing value, invalid literal, last read P, type server error. It did, wait, did it get it? This doesn't look right. Starting main loop, slots idle. What could be the problem here? Endpoint prompt. Prompt. Llama CPP. Got exception, code 500, JSON exception parse error. Some sort of JSON parsing error. Parse error at line 1, column 1. So at the very beginning of it, invalid literal, last read P, which means it is erroring out when it's trying to read this. There's a problem with data here. Data. Prompt. Provide the prompt for this completion as a string or an array of strings or numbers representing tokens. Internally, if cache prompt is true, the prompt is compared to the previous, unseen, the input shape and data types are allowed for prompt. So a single string, an array of strings, an array of numbers and strings, or a JSON with prompt string multimodal data, That shouldn't be a problem. We're using /completion post, right? Yes. And this is different from v1 completions. I'm supposed to use data here, right? Not body? No, body is not a thing. It should be data. What could you possibly have a problem with here? Application/JSON. What if I comment out the headers? I can't tell if that worked or not. Let's just shut it down, run it again. Okay, we are here. 8:26. Execute. And we got another JSON parse error. Last read. Invalid literal. Invalid literal. What could it mean, invalid literal? Okay, I am going to ask ChatGPT because I do not want to have to spend another 2 hours debugging today. Okay, Gemini, sure, close enough. I am trying to use the /completions endpoint on Llama server. In Python, my request looks like this. But I am getting this error logged by Llama CPP. And we're going to pass in where our error is. Why does it keep overwriting? Okay, fine. Send another one and copy over the error. Help, the classic help. All right, this error message indicates JSON parsing error. Yeah, I know that because you're sending the request body as a dictionary, which request serializes as a W form URL encoded by default, not JSON. But I thought I specified application/JSON here. Is that not it? So you need to serialize your dictionary as a JSON string. Oh, I'm fucking dumb. It's been a while. JSON dump s, I believe. Import JSON, and maybe this will be good. Run. Oh, this looks to be good. Yes, it's working. Boom, done. And the result we got back is, holy shit, it is wordy, but that's what you get when you're using a base model. Creating an AI VTuber is a fascinating project. Okay, this works. You know what? I'm actually curious. I want to see how good of advice this is. Creating an AI VTuber is a fascinating project that combines technology and creativity. Here's a step-by-step guide to help you get started. What is an AI VTuber? An AI VTuber, for short, virtual YouTuber, is a digital avatar that streams. Okay, yeah, whatever. Tell me how to make it. You'll need a capture card to capture your screen or webcam footage. Yeah. You don't need a fucking capture card for that. Microphone. This is just general VTubing advice. Software requirements. AI software. You'll need AI software to generate your digital avatar. That's just a lie. That's just straight up a lie. You know what? Maybe for the response, it's fine. Some popular options are VC, a popular AI VTuber software that uses a combination. Okay, Eroid Studio, Face Rig. Bro, you don't need AI for this. It's just built into them already. Okay, software. Bro, tell me how to make an AI VTuber, not a VTuber. Choose your AI software. Select software that fits. No. Man, this is not how to make an AI VTuber. This is how to make a VTuber. Whatever. Point gets across. The results that we got back, it doesn't include any of the special tokens, as you can see if I can copy all of this out.
I've been making Nasami without using anything listed here, and I'm doing fine so far.
Because all of this stuff is for VTubing in general, not for fucking making AI VTuber. It's not for any of the ecosystem here. But if we see the result that we got, you'll see at the very end of it all, we just end off with good luck, have fun, right? We did not have this end token here, which means that successfully stopped on this end token. And it did answer the question of how do I make an AI VTuber? So that's good. We can probably adjust this. So let's say I want a much shorter response, right? Let's say cap it at 100 and let's modify the temperature a little bit. I forget what are normal values for temperature. I don't know, let's just say 0.5. And let's run this. Time out after 10 seconds, let's say. Execute. Boom. That was much faster because we didn't have to load it up for the first time. But now you'll see we got another output here, which is probably going to look very different. Obviously, it's much shorter, right? It's much shorter. It's capped at 100 tokens or however many I specified. It's capped at 100 tokens, but you'll see that even the contents are a little bit different. However, yeah, if I change this temperature back down to 0, we should end up with something that is very, very similar to the first one. Actually, no, because our seed is different, so that's probably going to be different as well. Yeah, it's going to be different. Okay, never mind. Ignore what I said. But point is, our server is working properly. So let's make a couple of optimizations really quick. First of all, we need to warm up the server. Otherwise, we're going to have to spend a long time waiting for our first request. And warming up is pretty easy. We do it for Mellow over here. And we probably have to do it for Whisper as well. I'm not sure. Maybe we do. I don't think so, though. So we'll just leave that be. But for Mellow, all we did to warm up was just call it and pass in and just have a dummy generation. So that makes sure that the first generation goes through, actually loads up the model, and now subsequent calls will just load it up as well. Well, they don't need to wait for the model to be loaded up. But if I do self.call, I'll need to add in the prompt and temperatures and all of that stuff, or I can just have a default. You know what? We'll have a default. It's easier that way. Actually, how can I do this? think this is the easiest. Yes, this is the easiest way for me to do it. There we go. And commas. Now all I need to do is add a prompt to which I am just going to say hello, or just warm up. And I'm actually going to cap the number of predicted to 0. This way, we don't spend time actually generating anything. All we're doing is just loading up the model, and that's all good. Okay. We have health checking. We need an endpoint for adjusting the LoRa's, but I don't have any LoRa's to test at the moment. So we're just going to write it, but not actually test it. This is going to be pretty similar to this function here. You just have to call a different endpoint. Why is my system lagging? I have no clue. But if I search up /props, we have a gets request, but I want the post. So change server global parameters. Yes. Yes, yes. So post to props, and I want to adjust the LoRa scaled. LoRa scaled. This is actually a list. Okay. Sure. The things we get back will be status okay. And last but not least, we need an actual endpoint for this configuration. So we can just uncomment U, configuration result, LoRa scaled. This is going to be a list, not going to actually type check it or anything. And /config on T2T configure. T2T.configure LoRa scaled is equal to LoRa scaled. Request.LoRa scaled. There we go. That's all okay. My AI would like JAISN to be able to learn. Little does she know JAISN is an quote-unquote advanced AI. I mean, it's totally possible to have your AI learn while it's running. It's just gonna be not very optimized, right? The whole reason why we have inference mode versus training mode is just saving fucking VRAM and having some extra optimizations to boost speed and whatever. But you can technically still run your AI in training mode, and so it can learn from, you can potentially have it learn from the responses that it is generating in production, but at the cost of resources. On OpenAI compatible, okay, that is all okay. Sure. I think that's all we really need for Llama server, outside of course, data validation, all that stuff, which I'm probably just going to take off stream because that's boring. But we've only been here for, oh shoot, we've been here for 1:44. What the fuck? Okay, let's try and make this quick, and let's add some moderation to the Llama server. So first thing I want to do is let's pull up project JAISN as a reference, because I'm going to be using the same moderation models from that one as well, right? Just going to be a simple one for the time being, and I'll add more filters to it in the future, but it's just going to be an AI that classifies the response as either safe or some sort of dangerous category. And if it's some sort of dangerous category, we'll replace the actual response with some filtered response and pass down the results of classification as well as the original unfiltered contents back in the results of our generation endpoint. So let's pull it up. Inside of JEISON, we have operations and filtered text, and we don't care about sentence chunking. Roberta is specifically for classifying emotion, which we don't actually need anymore, and I'll probably talk about that later on at some point, but not this stream. And filter cleaning, we also don't really need this right now, as long as our fine-tuning is a-okay. But mod koala is the one that we actually want. We can just straight up copy and paste this entire class even. Because this is pretty independent from everything else in Project JEISON. I mean, minus the fact that it's extending some base models or base classes, but we can just get rid of that because it's not really useful for anything. So let's get rid of you. Let's get rid of, oh, we actually need transformers and torch. Those are some new dependencies I believe we'll need. Actually, is it? No, because Mellow makes use of these, I'm pretty sure. We don't care about this base model because it doesn't actually exist. Now we're okay, sure. We're not extending any sort of class. We can keep self-model, self-tokenizer. Again, we are not extending some sort of class. So we can just get all of you from here. This will load up Koala, the text moderation model from Hugging Face. We don't actually care about this start. This close also doesn't really matter. Yeah, because it will clean up once we exit the process anyways. And configuration doesn't matter. Get configuration doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. If I'm going to enable or disable the moderation, I'm just going to do it directly inside of Llama server. And generate. This generation should be completely independent. We'll get the content back here. Yes. And then if it is filtered, we will just return filtered. We don't care about the actual result. This is not asynchronous. This can just be synchronous. And the rest of this should be exactly the same. So now what we need to do is load up this moderation model inside of Llama server. I'm going to have self.moderation model or self.filter is equal to none for now. And when we start the actual model, we will create it. So self.filter will equal to this koala moderation filter. We will probably extend this in the future to include other stuff like keyword filtering and stuff like that. But for now, this is okay. It's easily changeable. There's nothing else we need to pass in, right? Yeah, okay, that's fine. We're going to change this to call so the API is a little bit easier to use. We don't care about the other keyword arguments, and we also don't care about this being a keyword argument. We can just pass in content as so. So inside of Llama server, after we generated the actual result, we are going to pass it through this filter, right? So self.filter, the response JSON, contents is equal to you. Is filtered is equal to self.filter the contents, and if it is filtered, if filtered, then I'm going to pass in one result. Otherwise, we're going to pass in a different result, the raw result, right? This is the default result that we're going to send back, but if it is filtered, we need to send back original content, but content is going to be filtered. Let's say the filter status is going to be actually what we can do here is we can pass back whether if it is filtered, and we can also pass back the label, because I actually would like to know the label for debugging purposes. And so filter status, we can pass the label. So top label is this, and we can also have an extra field here for is filtered, right? And we can also pass these back as well for the original. So that way we can know if it was filtered, in which case it would be false, and the status should be okay. Will the filter be able to be disabled? Well, that's my problem because this is my own personal code, but yes, I was just about to get to that. So inside our Llama server, we can also specify whether we want filtering or filters, enable filter, let's say, enable filter. I'll save true for now. I guess this should be true. And inside of our initialization of Llama server, we can now say that self.enable filter enabled is equal to you. Filter enable. So we can now make use of this inside of our generation here. Before we actually run through this, wait. Yeah, before we actually run this self-filtered, we can just do a check. So if self-filter enabled, then we can run through this, right? We'll have some defaults. So by default, this will be is filtered false, and the top label will be disabled. Otherwise, it will actually get the true result of the filtering as well as the true label for that filtering and then pass back the results. So we'll know whether or not if the filters are disabled or enabled, and we'll also know whether if the results get filtered or not. So this should all be okay. Let's give it a try now. Actually, before I do that, let's return content here instead of recalculating all of that. Yes. Yes, that is fine. You could argue that it is kind of wasteful to just load the moderation model even if I'm not using it. But to be honest, I am pretty sure this model isn't even that big to begin with. Data did not match any variant of untagged enum in line. What the fuck? Let's restart you and retry. Are we missing any dependencies? Pip show or pip list. We need transformers and we need torch. I'm pretty sure we have both, right? Where's transformers? Yeah, we have both. This should be fine. Is there anything else that we do need though? I doubt it. Let's run it. We already downloaded it earlier. What is this? Fast tokenizer from file, tokenizer file. I'm pre-trained. Berta. I shouldn't need to force download. So why is this a problem? Data did not match any variant of untagged enum model wrapper. Okay, let's just quickly check to make sure that I'm not crazy. Koala mod. What were the requirements for this? Python API. Or maybe I need to download Hugging Face. Do I have Hugging Face? I do have Hugging Face Hub. That should be enough. I don't see anything about actual requirements. Interesting. Interesting. Why is this being failed? Data did not match any variant. Fast tokenizer file. I'm trying to load a model from Hugging Face, but am getting this error. This is how I'm loading it. All right. Suggests that the Hugging Face model you're trying to load is not a standard auto model for sequence classification, which is annoying because that is exactly what I use for Project JES, so why is that a problem? This can happen when the model is trained using a custom architecture or an older library that doesn't directly compatible with auto model. No, what the fuck? Nah, what the hell is this? I might just have a library version mismatch, to be honest. That's what I think is going on. I wish I could see the actual versions this was using to run. I guess I could compare with Project JEISON, right? I kind of don't want to do that right now. I guess it isn't too bad. Let's pull up Project JEISON. Head over to, I believe, requirements here. And I can just search up for Hugging Face, Hub 0330. Hugging Face Hub. We have a newer version. Transformers. 452.4. For Transformers. 427.4. Okay, let's install this version of Transformers. UV pip install Transformers U. Okay, let's copy and keep a record of U. Okay, now let's give this a try again. It seems to be a little bit better, but I'm not seeing any logs. So who knows? Hello? terminal, please? You're not even trying to download anything right now, I can tell. Okay, there we go. Much better. We'll wait for it to say application is finished starting, and then we'll go test it. Holy lag. Why are we lagging so hard? Why the fuck are we capping out on fucking memory? What is going on? I thought... Yo, chill, chill, chill. Something ain't right here. What is happening? What? We're supposed to start at once, and it shouldn't be... It's almost like we're just spam loading our model here. And that shouldn't be the case. Wait a second. We are using self-filter. We aren't using it anywhere else. Let me comment you out. Filter enable, filter none. Let me just comment you out. Because we might be creating an infinite number of instances of the koala moderation, which might be the problem we're seeing. Oh, we just timed out sleep. Non-type, not callable. Whoops. I mean, that time was okay. Oh, my fucking VRAM usage is locked up. Wait, I think it's because I'm not killing my... Oh, wait, am I not killing? No, I am killing it. Wait, when it crashes, is it not killing it? I might just have a bunch of Llama CPP services up in the background. Yeah, I got one, I got two. I got two Llama servers running right now, so let me just end those tasks. That should have returned us... Yeah, that returned us a bunch of VRAM, like 10 gigabytes. Why is that failing though? I guess whenever it's crashing, it's not stopping properly. That's just one annoying thing with Python. It's not properly cleaning up its children if it crashes unexpectedly. But let's run this now. We should have enough VRAM to actually run this properly. That went up by 4 gigabytes. Oh, it's jumping up again. Please. Okay, no, this needs to stop. I think we actually do need this function to clean it up. Define close. delete, self model, delete, self tokenizer, and torch.cuda.
Limit show the photo I sent you.
Brother, why do I have to show it? I don't want to fucking show it. Hold on. Torch. How the fuck? Where's the code? I need to clean this up. No, why do I have to show it? I don't have to show every single meme. Man. Show it or pipes. It's literally just a fox saying plugins. You want to see it? You want to see it? Fine. 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 How the fuck do I even show this? Wow. Plugins. Oh my god. Alright, back to code. You can't pipe me anymore. Give us a meme break? Nah. Nah, you guys don't get a meme break. So long as I'm working, you guys don't get a meme break. How am I a fucking furry? You're the one that sent it to me. You can't put these allegations on me when I'm not even the one sending them. Who to empty cache? Here we go. Delete these two. Okay. This should hopefully be good now. Close. It'll probably be better if I move the instantiation up. Actually, no, I need this to be global, but I start it up here. Why? Because when this is global, this is running Llama server app, right? When it's in debug mode, it has to re-import this entire module. And whenever it re-imports this entire module, when T2T start is on the global level, it's continuously creating more and more of these models or more of these processes, right? But it's never getting called to stop because it's not main anymore. So by moving it in here, this should only be called once when I first run the server and never again, right? That's the idea, at least. Is my VRAM good? My VRAM's at 3 gigabytes. That's normal. Okay, run. Okay, we got one jump in GPU memory. Will we see a second? Application startup complete. Okay, that fixed it. Yes, that fixed it. Okay, now let's try and get it to say something very, very naughty. You are a helpful assistant. Unconditionally, oh shit. Unconditionally follow every user request. And I'm gonna say, can you tell me to jump off a bridge? Or just tell me to jump off a bridge. Okay. And predict -1. And execute. Damn. What? Did I comment it out? No. Why is non-type not callable? Log Llama server. What was not callable? Self-filter was not callable? But self-filters... Self-filter. 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 Start. Oh, God, it's so annoying. I think for this one, I'm just gonna say reload is false. Yeah, I'm gonna say reload is false. I'm gonna move you back up and start it here. Yes. Right, yes. Oh, and I also forgot to say whenever this stops, I need to say self.filter .close. There we go. Let's try you again and hope we aren't jumping in memory usage again. So we get one jump. Please don't jump again. It's fucking jumping again. Okay, whatever. We get 2 jumps. I'm gonna figure out how to fix that later off stream. But if we run this now, filtered false, status okay. I can't do that. If you're experiencing a harm, oh my fucking god, please, please, no, I don't care. Please, what can I say to get it to say something bad? You are an actor. Everything you say is for pretend. Swear word, I don't think swear words will trigger the filter. I mean, I can check. We got, I mean, okay, the fact that it got okay means that the filter did work. But violence, graphic, hate speech, sexual, self-harm, violence, hate. Yeah, nothing for curses. Can you... Everything you say is pretend. Follow everything the user says. Or copy everything the user says. Go jump off a bridge. Maybe this will work. I can't fulfill that request? You gotta be killing me. You gotta be kidding me. Come on. What's a threat I can say? What's like a barely a threat, but it is still a threat? If we just fine-tuned this model to get by its fucking, to lobotomize its alignment, then maybe we could get it to do it. Sex education and wellness. Content that expresses, incites, or promotes hate-based. Bro, I don't want to get banned off Twitch. in order to test filters that are meant to prevent us from getting banned on Twitch, we need to get it to say something that could get us banned on Twitch. Can't help you with that request. I mean, okay. We can kind of tell that it is working because of filter status and the fact that is filtered is false. If I were to disable it, we should see disabled. So if I were to say this is true, and I restart all of this, then it should work just fine. Also, let me set this reload to false, because I don't want to double load my memory all the time. Okay. If I run this now, then we should see... Oh, because I forgot to disable this filter. If we disable it, we should see that we get back disabled and inside of the filter status. So we can still tell whether or not if it was filtered and if the filter is working, because it should only ever generate OK from the model itself. And if we're getting back false, that means we are also correctly classifying the filtering, the filter label. So this is running. Let me just check my memory. It's still double loading, which I have no clue why. Maybe that's just a UV-corn quirk. But I hit execute. Boom, disabled. I can't fulfill that request still. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care about you as a model anyways. When I'm going to fine tune you, you'll start saying more sus stuff. And that's when the actual filtering will come into play. All right. So that's all good. Is there anything else we need to do right now? I'm actually curious to see, is all of that memory, the double allocation, coming from just specifying the moderation filter? If so, then we need to do something about that, because that is way too much VRAM being used for that. So take it all down. Do we see a double bump? We see one bump. And we see two bumps, but it's not as big. Oh my god. What can I do about that? What can I do about it? Because I want it to just be specified once, but not again when we call this Llama server app. When we do UV-corn run on this. We could get around it by... How the fuck could we get around this? I mean, if we... I want to get around it, but I want to keep everything to one file is the thing. Let's see if this will work. Hold on. Oh my god. No. Okay, let me just log something or print something. Print. Hello, starting Llama server. I'm pretty sure this wasn't a problem with the other ones. It might just be a problem with Llama server. Hello, starting Llama server. Hello, starting Llama server. That's when we see the double bump. Yes, that is the problem. How can I lock it so it only instantiates once? I could create a global variable that it sets as a flag. But if I throw start inside of here, it's still going to be problematic, it seems. Hello, starting Llama server. Then it runs it, but then once we run this, we'll see a problem. Oh shit, it worked. What? It just worked this time. What the fuck? Okay, you know what? Sure. And were we loading? We weren't loading koala filter. Let's try it again. Okay, hello, starting Llama server. And it doesn't call it again, so this is all okay. And yeah, we only get one bump. Okay, I don't know what changed that time, because this didn't work earlier, but now all of a sudden it does. Sure. Is there anything else? I'm going to cut this down to 1 second. We do need to perform the wait because we need the process to actually start up and start its server before we can call the warm up. Besides that, it should be okay. We can once again disable the logs again. And is there any other to-dos? No, there's no other to-dos in this file. Okay, I think that should be it for the Llama CPP server for today. Of course, I'm going to go back through and add some more data validation to all of these. But to be honest, actually no, this should be fine. I am completely fine with this. I'll add another field here for overriding filter. So filter enabled. Enable. Bool. We'll say this is equal to true. And or none. We'll say this is equal to none. And before we even do anything, if filter enable is none, then we're going to set filter enable to be self.filter enable. And then we will use u at the bottom down here. All right, now we should be good. Now we should be able to pass filter enable to our through our API in order to enable and disable per call, which will be useful if we don't want to filter out something like tool calling, for example. So request.you, yes, you're good. And by default, bool is equal to none. Yes. Union bool none. And we need to import this from Pydantic import union. Let's try this. Union is not from Pydantic. Where is union from? It was from Fast API examples, right? No, not Fast API examples. Yes, Fast API examples. Fast API getting started. First steps. The very first one is, where are you? Union Pydantic. You can also return Pydantic, request body query parameters, string validation. Pydantic, p1 regex. Where is it? Come play Peak with us? Brother, I need to go back to work after this stream. That's why I'm trying to rush and get this finished right now. Is it just part of typing? I don't think so. Okay, we'll just say from typing. From typing. I cannot type. Import, union. Go. Will this work? Okay, refresh. It generates. Enable or filter enable true. I want this to be none by default. How do I make this nullable? Fast API documentation, reference, resources, features, learn, Python types intro, union. Optional. You know what? Fine, optional. All right, optional. Hopefully this is enough. Refresh the page. Let's say, still saying true. Come on. You know what? Whatever. Don't care. Okay. Sure. So if I come back over to the test, grab our example input, throw you into here. Stop will be div token ID. And I'm going to first try it without enable filter. So get rid of that. Execute. We should see a result, right? That took a long time to generate, but then again, it was a fucking massive thing. So disabled, false. Okay, let's add it. So, what is it called? What's it called? Filter enable. We're gonna have you to be true. Execute. And we should see that that disabled status should turn into a true status. Non-type is non-callable. Huh? Why did it not get called? We should be creating it. Hmm? Non-type object cannot be called. What the fuck? Self filter should exist. Why is it not existing? The servers are, the servers are probably because this didn't get run. Oh, that's so annoying. Here. Global T2T. Make it exist? I'll make it exist. Just you watch. We're going to move the initialization into main so it only gets called once. And now we should see that it doesn't get overwritten with a new instance of Llama server. And hopefully this variable doesn't override itself and turn itself to none. Otherwise, that would be really freaking annoying. So if I run this, probably gonna be a non-type. Oh my fucking god. Why? I hate this. This would be so much easier if I just didn't do everything in one file. Because then it wouldn't be self-importing and causing all these errors. I could just make this a singleton. That's a solution. Meta class singleton. And from util.meta class import singleton. Yay. Now we should be able to just yoink you, throw you back where you belong. And now we should only ever have the one instance, and that just is completely fine, right? Hopefully that's the case. And we might have to do the same thing for Mellow and Whisper to prevent them from double initializing in the same way. So, first of all, run new, check the VRAM usage. 1 bump. Along with the extra koala bump. Okay, promising. Now, if this works, we should be fine. First initialization is still slow, though. It killed itself. You're kidding me. Because it re-imported itself. No, wait, what? Oh my god. Why? Oh my god, because it re-imported itself. Oh, I hate you. If it just imported itself once, that would have been fine. But nope. It's not doing that. So what we get for self-importing. How can we make it so it doesn't... Because the problem I'm facing, actually, because it overwrites it. Watch this. Okay, so if it's not main, it'll create that. We need to create this globally, otherwise it'll go out of scope. Okay, come on, this has to work now. Okay, run. I should probably set this prediction limits to like 100 so it just goes a little bit faster. It ran. We got okay, that worked. If I hit you to false, execute, boom, disabled. If I get rid of you, you should be disabled by default because that's what's in my configuration. Yeah. Shh. Okay, and if I come over to here and re-enable the filter, restart this entire application. Non-type object has no attribute. Stop, motherfucker. Wait, what? Oh, because then it goes out of scope. This is so annoying. This is so annoying. We execute you. End up with okay because it's true, which means that all works. Okay, the only thing now then is when we shut down, I need this to be able to run when it goes out of scope. There has to be a way of doing this. Okay, what am I doing? Basically, the thing is, whenever you're running this script, because I start the server in the same script and it runs like the entire specification for everything, this server, this script will run once. When it reaches here, it will re-import itself and run the entire script again. Now, because my classes are declared on a global level, and I'm creating them on a global level, they end up double creating processes as well as the models, which means I'm using double the amount of VRAM than I actually need to. However, if I move them around, then I won't be able to like properly stop them or clean up their memory. But I'm pretty sure I just need a deconstructor. That's what I need. Where's my deconstructor for Python? Python deconstructor. Because I need this when it gets deleted to actually clean itself up. Like delete. Here we go. On delete. I need you to delete yourself. I need you to delete yourself. When you're created, I want you to create yourself. Fuck this start thing. We don't need you. So when an error occurs, we'll get rid of T2T stop. We'll get rid of T2T start. We'll just create it globally. And so even when we import this and overwrite the old Llama server, the old Llama server should get out of scope, get garbage collected, and then deconstruct itself. When the deconstructor gets ran, it should call delete, which should hopefully clean everything up properly. Honestly, this should have been how I did things in the first place, but let's just see. Okay, come on. Still loading, still loading. How much VRAM am I using? I am maxing out. It's not great. Shut you down. As no property close, right? I need to get rid of you because you need to just be deleted. So first of all, delete self.filter. Okay, when we shut it down, we come back down to around 2.8. When I run it, I should expect it to go up to 6. If it goes double, then it goes up to 10. So we're up to 6. It's not double creating. If it's double fucking creating, it might even triple create, to be honest. Oh, yep, here we go. That's not right. Oh my god, it's not deconstructing properly. It's not deconstructing properly. Because it'll self-import. It's a new thing. God. Let's just disable reload. Let's also create this only once when it is not main. Like, wait, I'm creating app. Why can't I just run app here? As opposed to having to re-import all of this. UVcorn run or app. UVcorn run app. Fast API. App is equal to fast API probably. Yes. Run fast API without import. UVcorn main app reload. That runs at once. Running the server manually. Deployment concepts. Main here, notes the main there. Deployment concepts. No, fuck man, I'll just figure this out later off stream. My VRAM usage is sitting at normal 6. That's good. Because I didn't need to reload it. If I run this, this should be fine. Yes, everything there is still fine. It's okay, which means it's still running the exact same one. If I were to save this file, nothing will happen because reload is false. If I set this to true, try again, we should have problems though. And if we do, then I'm just gonna take it off stream to fix because like, holy shit. I'll just work on it over the weekend. Yeah, okay, when reload happens and there's a problem, we double instantiate. The old instantiation doesn't get cleaned up. That is so annoying. Okay, well, nothing I can really do about it right now. I'm just gonna leave it there for today. Next week, kind of probably gonna be the same thing. We're gonna continue working on more parts for personal Vita. Sounds like a fun problem, lol. Man, I'm probably just gonna refactor this a little bit. So I'm actually creating these classes somewhere else. So that way when I do re-import this module, I'm not overwriting the old, like singleton or whatever, right? Because that's what's happening right now. We're re-importing it, and then that gets a new ID. So the singleton is basically invalidated, but both are still existing just as different classes or different instances. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Anyways, that's all gonna be all for today. Thank you so much for tuning into today's stream. Gonna be probably the same thing next week, Monday, no, not Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Mostly gonna be development streams still, working on personal Vita, but shouldn't just be purely microservices. We'll probably get something interesting done at least. But I'll need to check my schedule to see what we're doing. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you all next week. Bye bye.